y'all. Welcome to the Honest to Goodness podcast,
where we give you our honest opinions
on good entertainment.
I'm Morgan.
I'm Carrie.
I'm Nicole.
And without further ado,
here's today's episode.
We hope you enjoy. Hey Hearties, welcome back for another episode of the Honest to Goodness podcast. Reviewing When Calls the Heart, season 11, episode 2, Tomorrow Never Knows.
Wow.
What?
So unpacking this episode.
Yeah. What did y'all think of this episode? Hot takes first.
Oh man. Wow. Certain things did not go exactly how I was expecting them to.
No.
Don't know why. Yeah. But it was incredibly sweet at the same time. It was
a good episode.
But the plot twist at the end. A little bit of plot twist at the end.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I definitely was not expecting what happened at the end, though. Just going ahead and clarifying, I'm not mad about it. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I love this episode. I do feel like it was a little too, like, I love that the episodes have been slow, especially compared to obviously how season 8 and 9 went.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like it's going on a little slow for me, just because I guess because of my creative brain, I thought of so many other scenes or so many other combinations of characters that could have been really good. Especially like for instance, it's Nathan's birthday. I would have liked to have seen him interacting with other characters besides Elizabeth, Bill, and Allie, which has pretty much been the same people he's been having the most interaction with since day one. So it would have been nice to have seen him maybe interact with Lee, interact with Rosemary, maybe whatever. Like that's probably my only con.
Speaking of the Coulters, who saw them wanting to buy the hotel?
Oh, clear as day.
I would have thought Bill. Like honestly, I was thinking Bill.
Yeah.
Really? I knew Lee was going to do that. I knew it because like they were setting it up as like this big thing between them. Like their work life was always going to be like I knew as soon as Rosemary moved into his office and they were going to have like, she was going to have the Valley Boys. He was going to obviously have his, the sawmill and everything.
Yeah.
I knew that work was always going to be that thing that was going to constantly kind of pull at them. And then of course, Goldie comes into the picture. So I always knew, like, especially based off of the bickering between the two of them in this episode, I just knew that was what Lee was going to do.
Yeah.
I always knew that. Yeah.
Can we some of the Coulter scenes, like, okay, can we talk about the first one and then, you know, after they get off the call and, you know, Rosemary's like, well, I have more to ask him, you know, referring to Lucas, because trying to get the dirt on the investigation.
Classic, like Bill says, are you friend Rosemary or are you reporter
Rosemary?
Exactly.
But going back,
reporter Rosemary.
Yeah. But going back to that scene, I thought it was sweet when Lee says, I have other things to live for these days, like you and Goldie.
I love seeing Lee as a dad.
Yeah. And
like,
then
I love it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, like, and I love that we're actually getting to see a dad with the baby, because obviously, unfortunately, we missed out on being able to see Jack with little Jack.
Yeah.
So I love that they're kind of giving us Lee and Goldie.
Yeah.
Because like, obviously we see all the time moms being with their babies and stuff on TV all the time, but you don't really get to see that side with the dads. Yeah. So I love that refreshing take. Lee is so hands-on, so loving, and so talkative about Goldie. Like, he's definitely one of those dads that never shuts up about his kid. And I love that.
Me too.
And, anybody else almost forget that did anybody else kind of for a moment forget that Rosemary and Lee were in the same room during that phone call? Because for
Yes.
some reason it completely slipped my mind. And then I saw
Yeah,
them looking at
and-
each other in the scene.
And
And I
he
was like,
forgot.
oh, wait.
And he forgot their breakfast date, so Lee changes it to lunch, and then Lee stands her up, and she is like not thrilled at all. But just briefly before we get to the scene when she comes in and confronts him about standing her up, I love the one when she's outside the cafe with Elizabeth and Minnie, and Minnie is trying to reassure her, that there's probably a good reason why Lee is not here, and Rosemary says, it had better be better than good. It had better be brilliant. And Elizabeth is like, that's a lot of B words.
I think that's as PG, as mature as Hallmark's gonna get.
Yes.
It was hilarious though. Oh my god.
Yep. And
But yeah,
the one in the saloon, the fight in the saloon, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of made me sad. But it made me laugh when Lee was like, you can still scallop me, just do it sitting down.
yes.
Yes. That's
And
a
then-
classic response that you should have with Rosemary.
As a now married woman though, I can very much understand her frustration because I deal with that all the time of like Morgan, a lot of Jeremy's work and how chaotic it is and just like how stressed out it keeps him even when he's at home and stuff. And I'll start getting frustrated with him when it feels like I'm not getting the attention that I need or whatever. And he's just like, I legit, it's not that I'm trying to neglect you. I legit just, I have this, I have this, I have this. And I'm needing to take a step back and just let him be a man and have his provider brain going, whatever. So I can 100% relate to that
It was
conversation.
it was very realistic. I mean, I've never been in that situation, but it was very realistic. I agree with that.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I like that. And plus, it's not just Lee's work; it's also her being a journalist, being over the Valley Voice. Obviously, she's stressed out because you've got this big story, and she's constantly getting scooped by the other news paper, and constantly having to be in this competitive situation with the other newspapers, and what's crazy is the fact that she's getting scooped on this information and she's so close to Lucas and Nathan, and yet she's still getting scooped on the biggest story that could ever happen in news in Hope Valley. So I love that how realistic
Shows
that
there is somebody doing it.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
we both know, or we all know that Lucas specifically said he wanted to give an exclusive to the Valley Voice. Well, Nathan wouldn't dare go to anybody else. He's too scared of Rosemary.
I have a thought about who Randall is getting the scoop from. I'll share that in a second. But that last line of that scene with Lee and Rosemary in the saloon when they're fighting, Leland Coulter, I believe it is you who is not listening. That actually brought me back to, I don't know why, but the scene in, what was it, season 8, when she's like, go stuff your trout.
That is hilarious.
Your trout.
Oh my word. Another to me, very relatable scene in this is obviously we see May is very off and it's upsetting Mike and he doesn't know what's wrong. Have I done something? Have I not done something? And then when he tries to talk, walks over to her at the party to talk to her, and she just starts everything
word vomiting.
Yes, word vomiting.
Yeah.
And then she's like, now what
You're
did you
wonderful
want to
and
do?
kind.
He's like,
and,
I just wanted to know if you wanted to dance. That is another very relatable thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like he was coming over there to ask her something else or talk to her about something else, and then he just kind of used he saw he heard the music and was like, you know what, whatever she, like what she was saying, obviously already like calmed the nerves that he was feeling. And he's like, you know what? Let's just dance. Let's just get over this.
I agree.
Go into something,
Yeah.
And I love that because I feel like that's also very relatable because it's like, okay, you said all you needed to say. I don't need to say anything because what you just said has comforted whatever I was going to talk to you about. So let's just get over this and let's go into do something that we actually enjoy doing together, which is dance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How short her skirt was, though.
Right? Like that's
Mhm.
like it was like right below her knee. Like that was like the standard. Yeah.
I think it was like
high.
That's the shortest
right.
skirt I have seen on We
yeah,
Calls
that's-
Golf.
Yeah.
absolutely. I noticed that too.
They're
I thought,
still
well,
wearing
maybe they
pants too, though.
I know because like I was kind of wondering because if you saw that was probably the only time that we saw the full outfit because everything else was like waist up for the most part of the shooting of that episode of that part of the episode with her in that outfit. And so I don't think that they were planning. I honestly kind of wonder if they were planning on whether or not to show just how short it was.
Yeah,
Because
I
like
don't know.
we only saw it when she was like walking with him to go onto the dance floor. So I kind of wonder if that was like maybe something that they weren't intending to add, just like a behind the scenes thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I do have a question though, because I know I'm terrible. I don't watch interviews and stuff, but I know people have said that Brian Bird said there's a wedding this season. There's the big debate, Mike and May or Nathan and Elizabeth, or will Mike and May plan to get married and then back out last second, or whatever.
That's my thought.
Just based off of what we're seeing so far, because obviously Bill is not stopping with the newlywed jokes and whatever. But honestly, like they're progressing Mike and May's relationship in a way I was not expecting in this episode. So I think it's a possibility that it could at least be them planning to get married and then deciding, you know what, we have time.
That's my thought. I just like personally, I think Bill's comments are red herrings. I mean, they'd still like plan the wedding, but I think in the end it would be a red herring.
Yeah. I agree. I do. I've always thought whether or not Nathan and Elizabeth are the ones that actually get married, like maybe they take over after Meg and May decide not to, whatever. Like taking that part out, I have always thought that it was going to be May and Mike to some degree. And the more I've watched these past 2 episodes, I definitely believe that their marriage is not going to actually happen. Now, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't actually. Maybe because I mean, if you think about it, Minnie and Faith do actually have their dresses on and everything. So I do think it's going to be like a last minute thing.
Or
if it is.
Or could it be a thing of Mike and May get married and then after the fact with Nathan and Elizabeth, it's like, hey, it's a contagious idea.
Could be.
Okay.
Could be. Like, the only thing is like, I feel like Mike and May both actually are having feelings about how fast everything is going. Because if you look at it, I feel like even Mike is still, because it would not make sense for even Mike to get nervous about how fast their relationship is progressing, mainly because we've never seen Mike in a relationship. He's not once been in a relationship the entirety of the show, and he's been on the show since season 1.
There have been some.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, we've had some false alarms. We've had some people come in we thought that Mike was going to be with, that he had feelings for or whatever, but there was never a relationship. May is like his first relationship on the show. So I do feel like it would make sense for both of them to have reservations and one not realize that the other one is feeling that way until they get down to the altar, and they kind of just like in the saloon, word vomit goes everywhere, and I feel like they're going to end it. I don't think that they're going to go through with it because I feel like there's a lot of reservations. Now, we are really early in the season. So we're not getting, they haven't really had a whole lot of conversation. Like they had the little conversations they had in the saloon, but if you really think about it, it really wasn't much of a conversation. More of May kind of borderline just erupting in her own feelings and Mike not really erupting his. So I feel like another conversation is going to happen now. Whether or not that happens before they get married, I don't know.
I
But
love
do
them.
feel like I don't feel like they're going to go through with it though.
I love them as a couple, but I feel like there needs to be a lot more conversations with them before they are anywhere
Oh
near
yeah, I don't think
ready.
that like I don't think them deciding to back out getting out of getting married is going to be the end of their relationship. I
No,
will say that.
no. I
don't
wasn't
think that.
saying. Yeah, I
Oh,
wasn't
I
saying
know.
that they're gonna
I'm
break
just
up.
saying, like,
No.
for anyone that thinks that that's what I'm saying by this, like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think that they're just gonna be like, you know what? Why rush? You know, we're young. We're just now starting this relationship. I love you. You love me. We don't have to get married.
Yeah, happy family.
Here we go again.
With some very recent things, I have some thoughts. I'm even more convinced now than I was a couple of days ago that it's Nathan and Elizabeth, and I'll share that at the end when we talk about Kevin's interview, because some of the things he said sound a lot like a wedding to me, with people coming in.
I just like, if anything, I can see an engagement, but I can't get on board with a wedding. I would be absolutely over the moon if there was a wedding, full on, be over the moon. But it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
but I feel like they're more ready for marriage than anyone else right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. On the show, absolutely,
yeah. Even though they have conversations that need to be had too. But
they have a lot. They have a lot of conversations, and that's another reason why, is because I want there to be some more conversations, and like we know that there needs to definitely be more scenes of Nathan and Lil Jack, and definitely needs to be more scenes of Allie and Elizabeth, because I feel like, you know, a lot of people were talking about how, because again, talking about Kevin's after show interview, he talked about how or I don't know if it was his the after show interview, but he gave an interview where he pretty much said that Elizabeth and Nathan were going to have a conversation about what she said in the cabin. I mean, not in the cabin, but in the
office. That was the after show interview.
So at least we know that conversation is going to happen, which needs to happen, like majorly needs to happen.
I can't even imagine how that conversation is going to go.
Right? I don't even know how it's going to start. Like, how are they even going to get onto that conversation?
I feel like that's going to be part of the thing in episode 5.
Could be.
Which could definitely lead to a kiss.
But anyway, we can talk more about that later. But I have a question. Well, not really a question. It was my theory about the one giving the scoop to Randall. When Bill and Rosemary are in town, and you know, this is when he's like, "Are you friend Rosemary or reporter Rosemary?" And she's reading part of Pike's confession when he says the governor is depriving the common man of the dignity of honest labor by shutting down the water project. Now, not necessarily regarding this scene in particular, but this is not my theory. So, like, I didn't come up with this, but I've seen a couple people say, what if Edwin is the one, like, giving the scoop to Randall?
I've thought the same thing, because whenever I thought something was off when Lucas offered Henry the job, his facial expression, I was like, something's fishy with him. Something, he's definitely gonna, like, there's gonna be something going on with Edwin. He's gonna eventually show his true colors, and Lucas is gonna pin it. We don't know, like, it might be way further down the season, but I do feel like, and I kind of wonder, what if he was the one that actually shot Lucas?
I hope not.
I don't think so. I wouldn't think so. But
also, I don't know. I can't put,
because I guess if you think about it, like, he would, like, Lucas wouldn't ask Edwin why he was there. Like, what are you doing here? So I guess that would be the only way to think. Yeah, but at the same time, he might be wondering, like, what are you doing here? Like, I just got governor. You know.
No, not really, because he wouldn't have been looking at Edwin that way. Because wasn't Edwin the one that actually talked him into running for governor?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So unless he was getting him to do that to make Lucas a fall guy and to take the focus off of other people,
Or he
then
probably thought that Lucas would be someone that he would be able to control.
yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
Also, I can't put my finger on why, but I find the conversation with Nathan and Allie in the Mountie office before they go into the fishing thing, when she's asking him about the article, I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, is that the
Yeah.
article about
Well, I mean,
who shot
I
Lucas
think
or whatever?
well, I mean, honestly, you can't convince me that Allie is not always on top of what's going on, like as far as like what Nathan does as a Mountie.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if it was me, if I was Allie, I would definitely be reading the papers. I would definitely be trying to get as much information about what my dad is doing and like just how dangerous the situation might be. You know, not necessarily to do anything about it, but just to kind of prepare myself, you know, and be able
Yeah.
to just be aware of what
Yeah.
I can be aware, because like I'm sure Allie's used to it by now. Like a lot of what goes on with Nathan and his job is very confidential, very secret. And of course, Nathan's not going to come home and just like spill his guts to Allie about all the things that's going on. She's a child.
Yeah.
He's not going to
Yeah.
do that. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if she would get the Valley Boys or any other news article paper and
Mhm.
reading it and trying to get as much information about it as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that scene though, the wink.
That was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. That
I
man
love this
winked
man so much.
with
He's
his
like-
entire face.
It's like,
No, like subtlety is not Nathan Grant's middle name.
Yep.
No, I
That,
think
but
it-
that is nowhere near his vocabulary. It's like unless he is like in the zone as like a Mountie, no subtlety at all. That's
let's
the
see.
only
Yeah.
time his poker. That's the only time his poker face actually works.
Yeah.
He's like, fishing is good.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
for this
she's
whole
like-
entire thing.
Yeah.
Allie was like, what was that? He's like,
I didn't
"What?"
wink.
I didn't wink.
Oh,
It
Lord.
would be funny
Okay.
if he would have winked after he winked.
Right. Yeah.
If he would have winked after he said that he didn't wink.
Yeah. But okay, your opinion. So when Allie first brought up that it was his birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and he's telling her he doesn't want any big deal, can we just go fishing, whatever. But then as soon as Elizabeth brought something up, Nathan's mind automatically jumped to that. Do you think he actually kind of wanted a party? Or that he didn't? Like, I'm just curious.
I think that he even then he didn't really want one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that obviously the idea of obviously Elizabeth being there and it being something and an opportunity
Mhm.
to be around her, and obviously being a special occasion involving Kim. I think he eventually grew to like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever obviously we had the scene in the mercantile, which is probably one of my favorite scenes of this entire episode.
Florence
by the
is
way.
like, why weren't we invited?
Like this scene, I loved that scene with everything in me. I wanted to, I literally want to go back and rewatch it because I love the
It was
dynamic.
so cute. So
I loved
cute.
it so much. Of course, classic Florence being like all up in like, oh, why didn't I get an invite? But
Yeah.
I do think that he started to grow on the idea.
Mhm.
One being that he has another opportunity to be around Elizabeth. Two, he gets another chance to be able to actually have some time with Allie as well.
Yeah.
Knowing
know,
that
that,
Allie
like-
is putting some information, like putting something together for him, also probably touched him.
Mhm.
But
The only thing that is kind of throwing me with it is, I guess I feel like if he didn't, like if he truly did not want a party, why, when Elizabeth brought it up, wouldn't he have just been like, well, Allie and I are planning to go fishing that afternoon, but yeah, something in the evening, dinner that evening sounds
I
good.
think that's probably
Yeah,
what it was.
whatever.
I think he just automatically thought because Allie had just brought it up, and then as soon as he walks up to
Yeah.
Elizabeth, she brings something up, and he's probably thinking like, weird that, and plus like
They're
you probably didn't
conspiring.
think that, and one of the biggest questions is like, why is everyone so shocked that it's Nathan's birthday? Like, this man has been living in this town for like 5 years and everyone's acting so surprised that it's his birthday.
Maybe black hole thing from
Exactly. Like Elizabeth wouldn't
Also-
have known when his birthday was already.
Yeah, she's like, am I
Also-
mistaken? And he's like, yeah, you're mistaken. Like,
Can we just talk about that school scene for a second? Because she was totally asking him out, and it just went.
no, I didn't feel like he was asking her out, but I mean, she was asking him out, but
She
I
was
definitely-
asking him out. No.
Yeah, and I definitely don't think that she was asking him out, but I do think that like that, and I feel like that was one of the reasons why he probably felt like it was something that him and like her and Allie were doing together, because it's like, when have we ever seen Elizabeth ask Nathan to do anything, even if it's in a group setting?
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably what clicked in his brain, because he's probably thinking, why is she asking me this about my birthday? Like, she's never asked me to do anything, whether it be like a group thing or whatever.
I did like the way he reacted when she was like, "Oh, that's too bad," because Rosemary had this idea that I could, and then like he does the little thing like, did
Yeah.
she just ask me out? That a small group of us.
He definitely paused on that. He definitely got
Yeah.
curious, like, what is she about to say as far involving just her? Like, what is she about? Like, what is
Have a casual dinner at the salon
Yeah.
tomorrow night to celebrate.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I love when he's like, I told her to keep it simple. I don't want this whole big thing. And she's like, well, then you're gonna have a great birthday, because as far as I know, there's no party.
But before that, I love how he's just like, "You're just gonna get a small group of people together for dinner at the saloon? Ho ho ho. It's happening."
I love y'all. Like, I love it so much.
And then he's like, "I'm gonna play along.
Yeah.
You go do that."
Yeah.
Okay, let's just be honest here. A lot of what we're loving about this is just Kevin himself. Like,
I know,
it's
like,
Kevin and Aaron.
It's just Kevin.
Everything- Yeah,
Kevin
every
and
scene
Aaron.
we're talking about, like the
Yeah.
one that later happens in the Mercantile, which we will get to eventually, but we've got a lot more stuff to talk about before then. Like him in the Mercantile, his facial, like Kevin's facial expressions. This man can literally just act with his eyes, and it's just like we're just gushing.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
come
have to say, well, this scene in particular, and then two other scenes, which I'm pretty sure y'all know which ones I'm talking about. They're not even a couple yet, and I'm so excited to see them as a couple. Like, they are so fun
110%.
already. Imagine
yeah.
when they are actually a couple.
Y'all,
Yeah.
it's gonna be like we're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like oh my gosh.
Okay, I will admit, the other day I was like going back in my brain and remembering our previous podcast episodes, our lives, and all that kind of stuff. And I think Morgan and I especially, I don't remember your opinion about it, Nicole, but I think we have agreed that Kevin is like one of Hallmark's best kissers.
Yeah,
So,
Hands down.
like,
yeah, and yeah.
do you remember how much we were gushing before? Like during the triangle, just like waiting for that kiss, and now we're actually gonna finally get it.
Y'all.
Thank the
I
Lord,
can't
there is
even
no
think about it right now
mustache.
because I'm just imagining so many scenarios in my head about like the scene, like the scenery around them. Is it going to be at the log scene? Is it going to be at the cabin? Is it going to be like on Main Street? Is it going to be at her house, his house? Is it going to be on horses? Like so many ideas are like flooding through my brain.
I'm
It's just like, is
probably-
she going to kiss him first? Is he going to kiss her
okay.
first?
I think she's going to kiss him first because in the ET interview, Kevin says that Nathan gets a kiss.
Yeah. I do
But-
think it's gonna be her, mainly because like Nathan is he's so guarded with Elizabeth right now. And it's not because like of any and it's because of what happened at the log scene. Like her like pushing him away and like constantly being pushed away, and not even just like being pushed away by her, but like he was pushed away by
Yeah.
Faith, he was pushed away by May, he was pushed away so many times. You know, he's never been the one to push anyone else away. He's always been the one to be pushed away. So I feel like it makes perfect sense for her to be the one to kiss him.
I'm
especially because he would never push himself on her. Because I mean, look at what all she's been through.
Yeah.
He probably like if I was Nathan, I would constantly have her reaction to him saying "I love you" to her, like over and over in my head, like that fear in her eyes, like the facial expression, her telling him that she can't. Like I feel like that's constantly something that loops through his brain.
Yeah. You know, I literally just thought about this, but considering the comment Kevin made in the after show about how the Mountie office conversation from season 8 is going to be addressed, what if their
It's in the
first kiss to reverse? What if Lindsay has kind of like reversed it?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, that's what she did a lot in the last season. Was she did a lot of parallels. She fixed a lot of scenes. So it honestly would not surprise
I
me a
wouldn't
bit.
mind the Mountie office
I
at
wouldn't
all.
mind it either.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't mind
No.
it either. But they could
But,
always do
yeah.
the same conversation, but maybe in a different place. But like I said, like it would not shock me because she did a lot of parallel scenes last season. And not
Yeah.
just with Nathan and Elizabeth, but also with Elizabeth and Lucas and several other characters.
Yeah.
So
But-
it wouldn't shock me.
But y'all, who knows if I say this again when we get to their other scenes, but their first kiss is going to burn the town down.
I think it's
As
going to be
Aaron
better
said.
than her and Jax. I think it's going to be better than her and Jack's first kiss.
And we can all admit we rewatched Jack and Elizabeth's first kiss like a gazillion
I
times.
still remember that clip, that behind the scenes like interview clip when
Yes,
What
they're
was-
talking about how many times they reshot that scene.
like 87 or 99 or something.
And him saying, like, she just
The other
kept
one
wanting
wanted
to
to
be
redo
like,
it
and
Aaron,
kiss
we
it.
gotta do, like, you know, like, Aaron, please get off me. Like, Aaron's like saying the exact opposite of like him being like all over her. And it's like, oh my God. And they wonder why everyone kept saying that they were dating behind the scenes. They weren't wanting to say anything. Like,
I'm sorry,
don't
you will
know.
never convince me there was not
it would
feelings.
never convinced me that they did not have some kind of relationship. I don't care if it was like
Never.
a short-lived one. I don't care. Like, you cannot tell me that those two did not have feelings for each other.
I don't know that it ever progressed into a relationship, but like it is very clear to watch Erin in interviews that she is completely crushing on Dan.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think
I
it
do
was
love
there.
I do love their friendship though, still.
Oh,
to this
yeah.
day.
Absolutely.
Y'all, I
and they have
like
a new movie coming out.
I know.
Finally!
Y'all, like that was what I was fixing. Like, side note, like, can y'all believe we're finally after like how many
Well,
5 years.
are getting?
We
a
have been
movie?
we have been asking for this. Well, not me because I'm not an OG Hardy, but the Hardys that have been here since season 1 have been asking for this since season 1 in
Oh, I've been
2014.
in the fandom
10 years
I've been
ago.
in the-
10 years ago.
Yeah, I've been in the fandom since season 2, and people were wanting a movie from between them after season 1. I was like, we just got these two actors together.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm so shocked because like you see Hallmark doing this so many times with so many people. Like, for instance, like Andrew
Andrew and
Walker, Andrew and Nikki, like they are like the constant, like they're constantly put into movies together. Like they're in a completely, like they're in a mystery series together. Like, you know, because of the chemistry that they have for each other. So I'm very shocked that they've been waiting until now, which I feel like it wasn't necessarily Hallmark. I feel like it was Dan and Aaron like waiting for like the perfect like script.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like, can you guys imagine? Like, I loved her and Tyler, and I hope that Aaron and Tyler do another movie because let's be honest, they were really great, and It Was Always You. I would love like a sequel to that. But sometimes I wonder what It Was Always You would have looked like if it was Dan instead of Tyler. Because I feel like that would have been a really good movie for those two to have done.
True. Okay, am I getting back to What Calls the Heart? But or to this episode, I should say, because we're still talking about What Calls the Heart. But getting back to this episode, am I the only one that was a little bit disappointed that Nathan actually did find out about the party?
I'm not, mainly because of the scenes that we did get because of it.
I'm not. Yeah.
I mean, I liked the scene, but at the same time, I guess I was just a little bit disappointed that.
Well, I was disappointed that we didn't get like a real surprise reaction from him
Yeah.
and him getting to see like how much the town loves him.
Yeah.
Who was waiting to see what his reaction was going to be? Because we've seen Rosemary pretend to be surprised, and then we have seen Elizabeth. Oh my gosh! I was not expecting this.
This at all.
Oh,
So,
I love
was I the
Rosemary's
only one
reaction
just
to Elizabeth's
waiting?
reaction.
Rosemary's like,
Rosemary's reaction was just like, really?
yeah. You ain't fooling me, girl.
Right?
Am I the only one who was just like waiting to see what he was gonna do when he came in the door?
Right.
Yeah.
I will say this, like the promo picture of him just smiling so big, like it almost doesn't even look like Kevin in that photo because he's smiling so big, and we're not used to him seeing him smile like that. I guess I don't know, but I literally had to, like, when I first saw that photo be put out, I literally had to double take and look at it again because I was like, wait, is that Kevin? Like that doesn't even look like Kevin.
I
But
know.
I was kind of waiting for to see that reaction. If you look back, we don't really see him smile like that. So it had to have been like a different shot that maybe they did that they didn't use. So obviously the behind the scenes geek in me is like nerding out at that. But I definitely don't think that they paid too much. Like I don't think that they stayed long enough on his reaction.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Like, let's just go ahead and talk about like when he walks in just for a brief second. That was so sweet. And I don't know if this might just be me, but when he walks in, I feel like he and Elizabeth exchange a little look and it just like melted my heart.
They did.
You know which one I'm talking about? That
yeah.
And he just kind of looks over and he just smiles and I'm just like,
I know.
They had that. They had both the conversation in front of the schoolhouse where he was like, "Oh, I pegged it," like she's having a surprise party, and then after the mercantile scene, he has the other like conversation with her, like, "Oh, I was actually wrong, but now there really is a surprise party because I thought it was already a surprise party."
Yeah, very sweet.
Okay. The conversation between him and Allie, though, walking back from fishing, that was so sweet. Where he was basically letting her know, hey, this was enough. Without telling her that, where he was just letting her know, hey, this was enough. But then for him, he did not at all act weird about her asking to go to the saloon and whatever, which I thought was really sweet.
Yeah.
It would have kind of ruined it a little bit if he had been like, oh yeah, sure, let's go to the saloon.
They were talking about Colleen. And also, I've seen a couple people say this, but I got Andy Griffith vibes with the fishing.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious considering the shirt I'm wearing. Yes.
I definitely got that vibe too, but I love that he really, because I think in all honesty, if Nathan really would have been able to plan how his birthday went, I feel like that would have been exactly what Nathan would have actually wanted, was just to be able to spend a long time with Allie.
Yeah.
Seeing that Allie's growing up, she has like her friends, she has, she's up there in school to where she's getting close to graduating. Like next thing you know, she's going to be going off to college and that's going to be it. So I feel like that was definitely, I feel like if we would have been able to just know what Nathan actually wanted to do for his birthday, it would have just been literally going fishing with Allie or just doing anything that Allie wanted to do, even if it wasn't necessarily something he wanted to do.
Can we briefly talk about that scene in the street? Like, the town is already matchmaking. Like, the way Rosemary, Ned, and Florence, and Minnie all leave, they're like, oh, well, we gotta go. Bye.
Yep. Like, I think part of that was them trying to avoid
Florence holding the balloons, though.
And then with all the invitations. Really, people? Really? This is not your first surprise party. Like, come on, get it together.
The talk with Nathan and Elizabeth, and then the flirting. There was total flirting going on. When he got down to that low voice, I was just like, Lord help us. Like when he was like whispering, Don't worry. Oh, I'm surprised.
Yeah. Okay, there is I don't know what it is. There is something about a guy when he like lowers his voice like that, or even like the pitch of his voice lowers or something, because like it is freaking hilarious, but I love it at the same time. Jeremy has like a sinus infection or something going on right now. And so he woke up the other morning and I told him he sounded like Yogi Bear. But when he's got something like that going on, his voice is like really deep. So
Aw.
well, he literally can sound like Josh Turner when he's singing or whatever. So like I don't
Aw.
like the fact that he's sick, but there's something really cute about the fact that he'll start singing to me in that voice, or I'll call him or
Yeah.
something. He'll answer the phone with "Hello, darling," you know,
Aw.
whatever. It's like in
Yeah.
that really deep voice. There is something about that. I don't know
It
what it is
was
about the lowered voice, whether it's pitch or volume, that is, I don't know. It's a turn
it
on.
was
I don't.
it was very sweet. That scene was fire.
Oh yeah, they were
Yeah.
so cute.
Yeah. I mean, like, so I have to talk about the mercantile scene because that from start to finish was absolutely hilarious. Y'all.
Like coming
if
in to
you
get
didn't-
eggs.
Oh my god. Like him being out of breath because he clearly like probably ran from the row houses to the store. I kind of wonder
Yeah.
what was going on. Like I wonder if like him and Allie were making like cupcakes or something for his
I
birthday.
don't
That's
know.
what was maybe happening. And like he realized they didn't have any eggs. I don't know.
Or
And
they
then
would
of
have
course like
next day.
yeah. And then like, you know, them obviously mentioning his birthday and like, oh, the eggs are on the house and stuff like that. And yeah. And then of course the mention of the party and then being like, oh, what party? Like, where's our invitation? And it finally clicks in his brain. Oh, well, if they don't even have any clue and they don't even have invitations. And he's like, thanks for the eggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
Why
it.
is Kevin such a puppy? Like
Yeah.
he is,
Right?
he is a big old puppy.
Yeah.
He really does do such a good job of playing like the kicked puppy. And it breaks my heart every time.
Before we get into more of the birthday party, we have to mention Elizabeth and Henry.
Oh my god. Henry in this episode, every scene, I was just like, my heart was like being like squeezed.
It broke my heart, honestly, because I feel like they kind of broke him and Abigail up.
From what I gathered, it's like she slowly kind of let him down. It was like, but I want you to be happy.
Yes.
You know?
That didn't even cross my mind. Yeah.
That absolutely broke my heart. I was
I
like,
know. And then like him with the hazelnuts and like reading the book with Bill and the cow manure.
The
Like,
horse
that was
manure.
Horse
Yes.
manure.
and Bill's like, what are you reading?
And he's like,
Hazelnuts.
no, I have a notebook. He's like,
Yep.
showing the.
But I really think that Martin does such a good job of
Martin
being
is incredible.
Yeah, Martin is incredible as Henry. Like I could never imagine anyone else playing this character at all.
No.
Martin is like the way that he has been able to transfer, like how he's been able to naturally change Henry from this tough exterior man that's like automatically seen as the bad guy, automatically seen as the crook of the town, to now being this like humble, sweet man who builds gardens with kids and looks after hazelnut trees because they remind him of his lost love. Like,
wardrobe has changed this year, though.
Yes, I love him in this new wardrobe.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
it's so great.
There's a couple more things I forgot about that we probably should mention before we get into the birthday party and, maybe trying to finish up. But first, we already talked about it a little bit last week, but the scene with Elizabeth and little Jack making the card, of course. And
I love how they made the same face at the same time.
That was precious. And then
did y'all catch that he also put
Newton and Sergeant?
Newton?
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, this kid thought of the whole fam. The whole fam.
Total foreshadowing. I already said it, but total foreshadowing.
110%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you kidding
And
me?
yeah. And then Faith and Lily, we got to talk about them for a second.
Okay, watching her first of all, like freaking out when Lily's running across the street or whatever, but then yeah, but then watching her in the pharmacy in the drugstore with Lily and just kind of realizing, hey, she's a kid and I need to make time for her to be a kid.
Yeah.
And the strawberry ice cream and, whatever, or,
cute. Yeah.
when
I
I'm
think-
missing someone, here's what I do. And, reading her a
That was
story.
my favorite
So,
scene.
Yeah.
That was my them reading the book, her reading the book to her, and doing the whole squeeze your eyes really tight and like imagine and like picture that person. I thought was really sweet.
Yeah.
I thought
I'm loving getting to see this side of Fate.
Me too.
Yeah, I do too, because I definitely think it's a side of Faith that we have not ever seen. Like we've seen her with some of the children in the town, but not to this degree.
No.
So I think it's really showing a different side of her character.
Yeah.
And I'm loving that because like we've only ever really gotten to see Faith be in like nurse doctor mode or be in like the romantic mode where she's with the person and having like romantic feelings for that person. Or of course friendship Faith. But we've never gotten to see like a full like version of her in like this motherly mode. So it's really refreshing. It's really great to see this part of her character because I was kind of afraid, like, oh great, what are we gonna keep doing this? Like, are we gonna keep having her in this mode of like desperately seeking a man, desperately trying to prove herself as a doctor, like the same storylines we've been pretty much seeing for the past several years, or are we finally gonna get something fresh and new? And thankfully that's what Lindsay's been delivering, which I think only proves even more that Lindsay is been absolutely the most perfect showrunner. Like
absolutely, but I'm sorry, my ADD brain just remembered something, and I better get it out real quick. Elizabeth joking about Robert giving the kids test haircuts.
That was hilarious.
And Rosemary's actual panic of a reaction, like she was just gonna bust back up in that row house and take Rosie, like Goldie. Yeah, Goldie. Like Rosie was fixing to get up and snatch her kid out of Robert's arm in a quick hurry.
Yeah.
And talking about Faith and her missing, made me think about her missing Fiona.
I know what you mean. Yeah. And also, real quick, I forgot another thing too. How sweet was it that Elizabeth, when she and Rosemary are outside the cafe talking to Allie, and Elizabeth calls Allie honey. That was so sweet.
I know.
When Allie asked, well, doesn't that mean I have to throw a party for him? And he's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
But I love that, like, it's like Rosemary's like, of course he would love it, like clearly not knowing Nathan, and Elizabeth's just like almost looking at her like, do you even know this man that you're talking about right now? Do you really know Nathan Grant? Because if you really knew Nathan Grant, he would not want a party.
Well, it wasn't about Nathan for Rosemary. For Rosemary, it was about getting Elizabeth and Nathan together.
Matchmaking.
I know, but like in Elizabeth's mind, she's not thinking that that's what Rosie's trying to do, I'm sure. Or she might have. I don't know. She might actually be able to see right through Rosemary and know exactly what Rosemary is saying.
Speaking of Rosemary playing her matchmaking, their conversation during the party.
Right.
Yeah. One thing I can't wait to see is Elizabeth as a mom to Allie.
One thing you can't wait to see is what now?
Elizabeth as a mom to Allie.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
because I mean, if you think about it, it really is like we've not really gotten to see Nathan with a little one like little Jack, and it being obviously a boy, because like we can all agree like how Nathan's going to be with little Jack is going to be a little different than how he is with Allie, not just because of age, but because it's like little Jack's a boy, Allie's a girl. So, and we've never seen we've seen Elizabeth with like Emily and Grace and like Opal, and we've been able to see her with like these girls, but now it's going to be a different dynamic because like when Nathan and Elizabeth get together, Allie's going to be her stepdaughter. So it's gonna be a whole different dynamic between those two versus how she is with like Opal and Grace and
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all the other.
Yeah.
I think
So
there's
that's-
really
It's gonna be
only like
interesting to see. It's gonna be interesting to see both of them like with each other,
Yeah.
as a full family.
yeah.
Yes, agreed.
I
And
think there's sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think there's only really two more major points for us to discuss probably, and then we need to move on into the other stuff because I've already been going
For
close to
episode 3. Yeah.
yeah. But for
The hair
episode
touch.
2, for episode 2, the conversation
touch.
with yes, the hair touch when Elizabeth comes outside to find Nathan and oh, I didn't see you there, which she clearly came out to see you.
Okay. I loved when she said
He tried to kiss. Sorry. Like, come on.
I love whenever he says that you know me so well because let's
Yes.
be honest, no one knows Nathan more than Elizabeth does.
that's
other
what I
than
was about
Allie.
to say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
the looks.
yes, the looks, but also Nicole, did you notice what kind of confetti he pulled out of
A
her hair?
star.
A star.
The fact
It's
that
written
they
in the
chose
stars.
stars and moons as his decor. Like, I'm
Right.
sorry, but like if you think of Nathan Grant, what made them think that stars and moons and stuff like that were going to be what you would decorate his birthday for?
It's written in the stars. I mean, Rosemary
But
even says that in an upcoming episode. When
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like if you really think about it, that's the reason why they decorated the party like that is because of the whole stars line written in the stars, like that kind of thing is because of that. Because if you think about it, you look at this man that is a rugged Mountie single dad, like you don't think stars and moons would be his birthday decor choice.
Yeah, I mean, in that promo clip, Elizabeth, I think, says something like, I can't remember the word she used. Like, is it
so wrong to want love again?
Love again. And Rosemary was like, no, it's written in the stars.
See, I wonder, and I could be wrong, but I wonder if that is two totally separate scenes that they have spliced together because it's just audio. It's not a scene being played. It's just the audio. So I've wondered if that's not two totally separate scenes.
The same thing. Yeah, I kind of wonder the same thing because they've done that so many times before.
I do think the thing when she's like, is it so wrong to want love again? And Rosemary says no. I do think that's in the same scene. But the written in the stars, maybe not. It's hard to tell. Because,
I don't know.
Because when she says that written in the stars, it cuts to them under the arch.
But
I also love
scene and them having the star in her hair. That was no random piece of confetti, honey.
You're gonna put one little itty bitty piece of confetti in that person's hair, and like you're just gonna you're not gonna delicately pick what piece of confetti you're gonna put in there.
Yeah. I also love when she's calling Nathan the man of the hour. And we probably should just go ahead and go into this because we're at the end of the episode. I think we need to give a little pep talk to all the Hardys out there because some are feeling a little discouraged.
Yeah. First of all, I think y'all, if you're new here, first of all, apologies, but if you've been with us, like we have several people that still have stuck with us for how long have we been going? Like 2 years
since
now?
Season 8. So like 3.
So this will be 3 years now that we've had our podcast going, and some of y'all have tolerated us for that long. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But all 3 of us have very creative minds and like writer type minds. I've gotten to work on some sets. We're all big behind the scenes geeks.
I write fan fiction.
Yeah. So like all 3 of us have that very creative mind. So when we watch something, we do not watch it like normal human beings.
And I have an art degree too. So
exactly. So, she has an art degree. I've gotten to work on film sets. Morgan is like the biggest behind the scenes geek I've seen, so like we all bring something to it from that perspective. So when we're watching something, our brains are constantly analyzing it from a different standpoint. So to us, like I've seen a lot of people that are very upset that Lucas showed up. First of all,
they
Lucas
won't
had no
watch.
idea. It's not like Lucas showed up to ruin Nathan's birthday party. He didn't even
No.
know the thing was going on, I'm sure.
Mm-mm.
So it's
I
not
mean, yeah,
like he
it doesn't.
purposely showed up for that.
It doesn't
No.
take a rocket scientist to know. Like, no offense to anyone that didn't really notice this, but like, if you go back, it's very clear to see that Lucas was very uncomfortable in that scene.
Yeah.
There was no way he knew that there was a party going on. He definitely didn't think that they were going to stop the party and turn and look at him and start singing to him.
Mhm.
He was extremely uncomfortable. And if you've noticed, all throughout season 9, season 10, whenever they even started all the governor stuff and all the attention going on him about the governor run, he was incredibly uncomfortable then as well. He's like, he doesn't like all of this attention.
Yeah,
In
he
moments, you
doesn't.
can see him getting comfortable, but that's because it's like Elizabeth said, he was made for a time like this to do this.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't take away
But
the fact that you can be uncomfortable.
Yeah. I'm just gonna read, if it's okay, I'm gonna read 2 Instagram posts, one from our good friend Teresa and then one from our good friend Hannah about this particular thing that went down at the end of last night. I'll read Teresa's first. She posted this 19 hours ago, so sometime after the episode last night. It's a beautiful edit, but she posts 3 different edits. She posts one of Nathan and Elizabeth, one of Nate and Missy from Love's Enduring Promise, and one of Gilbert and Anne. She says 3 different couples, 3 similar situations. Nathan and Elizabeth are on the brink of a relationship, but their path has been and is still marked with challenges. Elizabeth was engaged to Lucas, who has just returned to town. His return has thrown Nathan into doubt about where he stands with Elizabeth and what she feels for him. But Nate and Missy went through similar challenges in Love's Enduring Promise. Missy was all but courting a rich gentleman who could offer her a life of comfort. Nate could not, but he loved her and had loved her for many years. Ultimately, Missy found her way back to who she truly was and who she truly wanted to be with for the rest of her life. Elizabeth will do the same when the time is right. Gilbert and Anne followed a similar path. Anne was not ready to be with him and turned down his declaration of love, telling him, "I can't." She then courted a man who was everything she thought she wanted in a partner, while Gil watched from afar. Eventually, however, Anne realized that only Gilbert held the key to her heart, and she broke things off with the man she was courting, eventually finding her way back to Gilbert. What I mean to say is, hang in there, hearties. Nathan and Elizabeth are going through challenges in season 11. They are being forced to face confusion, misunderstandings, and disappointment as they navigate their feelings. But these challenges will make their union all the more special and meaningful. I'm not upset that things just became complicated. I'm grateful because their love story is truly so much more than gestures, kisses, and milestones. It's a journey through the good and the bad that they will overcome and become stronger together. Now on to Hannah's. Gotta go find it.
Yeah, Teresa's always really good about wording things and really putting everything into exactly what it needs. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, what she said was really true, because it's like, if you really think about it, you can't have a season like this where you have her break up with Lucas and start this season where they're very prominently advertising that things are going to happen between Nathan and Elizabeth this season. You cannot have there being misunderstandings. You can't not have these kind of questions popping up in both of their heads, especially because of everything like with what she's told Nathan in the Mallee office about like I love you, but I'm not in love
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
You know, all of
Mhm.
these like everything that happened in season 9. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
her literally getting engaged to Lucas. Like you can't expect Nathan not to have
Mhm.
questions and doubts in his mind whenever he
Exactly.
sees Lucas show up out of the blue. Though I will say this, that was not my initial thought as to why he was reacting the way that he was reacting. When I first saw the scene, I even talked to Carrie about this on the way home. Whenever I called her, I was like, when I first saw this scene, I saw it on a reel on Instagram. I was like, that was not the way that I first until thought that that's why he was having that reaction. I thought that it was him having almost the same guilt that he had about Fort Clay. That's what
Mhm.
it took me back to. It took me back to Fort Clay and him feeling the guilt and the pain of possibly being responsible for Jack's
Yeah.
death. And I
Mhm.
feel like that's how he's feeling right now is like, I'm not saying anything. I can't, like, I'm being pushed out of this investigation. Like, it's been pretty much abruptly stopped. No one's listening to my
Yeah.
voice. I'm being shut down by Hardgraves. And here stands before me a man who was just attempted to be murdered. And there's a very big possibility in the back of Nathan's mind that the killer is still out there.
Mhm.
And I can't do anything to stop it.
No.
And he's probably feeling like, you know, almost like what would like here I am actually getting the opportunity to keep someone from getting killed because I didn't get to have with Jack that I could have been prevented. Like it's like I
Yeah.
kind of thought that that's what was going on in Nathan's mind. I did not even
Yeah.
think about what was possible because I mean think about it. Like in my view, I'm thinking about it and I'm like, she breaks up with Lucas, breaks off their engagement 3 weeks before they get married. I
Mhm.
would have never thought that they would like that would go through his mind that they maybe they're gonna get back together. Like
Yeah.
maybe things aren't really over between the two of them, and maybe I do need to keep myself back from her. That's
Yeah.
not what I was actually.
Here-
That's not at all what I thought that reaction was saying.
Here's
Yeah.
what Hannah's post says. That ending, though. Okay, I know we all have a lot of thoughts and feelings after the ending of the episode last night. But here are some reasons why I actually didn't mind it and why I think it's an important part of their journey. 1. Nathan and Elizabeth were having their own private party outside. They weren't even around when Lucas showed up inside. 2. Although it was poor timing, this was the first time that the whole town had seen Lucas before he was elected governor and was shot.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't expecting to see him, so the whole town singing to him does make some sense.
It does.
3. We already know how Elizabeth feels. She wants to be with Nathan, and with Lucas now being in town, it will only push her to finally tell Nathan the truth. 4. Nathan doesn't like attention, so I don't think the singing to Lucas bothered him as much as the realization that Lucas was back in town, which would mean that he would have to face his true feelings and the possibility that Elizabeth might still have some feelings for Lucas, which we all know isn't true. 5. Although this may have been unfair to Nathan, we all know where this story is headed. Sure, there's going to be a lot of bumps and misunderstandings along the way, but this will only make Nathan and Elizabeth's bond grow even stronger. Just imagine how happy Nathan will be when Elizabeth finally tells him how she feels about him. 6. The most important thing is how Nathan and Elizabeth feel about each other. Sure, maybe the town could have handled Lucas's return differently, but at the end of the day, all that really matters is what Elizabeth thought in that moment. She was just as surprised as Nathan to see Lucas there, and she didn't seem too thrilled that the town was singing for Lucas instead of Nathan. Her sole focus at that party was making sure that Nathan knew how much he was loved and had a good time. After all, he was, as she said, the man of the hour.
100%. I think, and I want to go back to something real quick, and then we can move on to the to the after show interview.
Yeah.
But the main thing I was seeing from people wasn't that they were upset that Lucas showed up. It was the timing of it. It
Mhm.
was that they felt like Nathan can't even just get a birthday party without Lucas showing, blah blah blah. Like
Mhm.
I get that.
I get it too.
100% sympathize with y'all. Y'all know we are a Team Nathan podcast, so like we're not telling you shouldn't feel that way. But and the reason I was saying, when we watch things, we watch it from a different perspective. We look at this and we go, that's formula. I was like, I would expect something like this to come up, just like I expect, and we've talked about this. I
Mhm.
fully expect their first kiss attempt to get interrupted. Like it is complete formula. They're just creating drama. You're right, they are.
I mean,
They are 100% creating drama because that's how it works. Because they are trying to keep all of their fan base glued in. Not just us, not just Team Lucas. They're trying to keep everyone glued in. And that is just how it works.
It's
So
formula.
from a writing standpoint, from a production standpoint, it makes perfect sense. I'm not saying all aren't justified in your feelings. I'm just saying
And
makes sense.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, going to another show, I'll mention two things from this show. And you, Carrie, when I say it, you're probably going to know what I'm talking about. You probably already know what I'm talking about. But not first kiss wise, but even Shane and Oliver's first I love you got interrupted by darn skunks. I mean, and as Oliver so wisely said in one of the movies, I won't mention which one since you have not watched yet, Morgan.
It's
But
okay. I'm fine with spoilers.
okay. Well, in the Valentine's movie, From the Heart, Rita and Norman are, on the brink of, really starting their relationship.
Mhm.
And Oliver and Norman, they have this conversation on a beautiful bridge. And by this point in the movie, Norman has found this old Valentine that was written from, I think, Anne Rutledge to
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, yes.
Mhm.
And, they're talking about the card, and Norman's talking about Rita, I think. And Oliver so wisely said, the course of true love never did run smooth, which
Exactly.
perfectly qualifies to this too. So
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, so I have not yet
we will get
had the
there.
opportunity to watch the after show interview. The other ladies have. I had to cook dinner while they were doing that, so they were able to do something that I didn't have the time to do. But so what are some takeaways from this big interview? Because I need the tea here. So what's the tea?
Morgan, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
I'll pretty much just summarize what I got out of it.
Yeah, I have
the
some
entirety
notes
of the interview, and
Yeah.
then you've gotten the questions and stuff written down. But basically, what I got from the entirety of the interview is that, well, yes, right now a lot of Nathan's scenes have been pretty much like majorly done with Elizabeth. He has teased that we are going to get some, like at least 3 characters come into the show that have not been placed in the show yet, that are going to have a major effect on Nathan for different reasons. So, one of them, I think,
so one of them isn't Tom. Sorry for the interruption, but one of them isn't Tom. If these are 3 new characters, it can't be Elizabeth's dad, and it can't be.
They're not new characters. He did say there was one that is kind of classified as new because we've heard of them, but we've never seen them.
I got you.
And one is someone from Elizabeth's past that is someone that Nathan needs to have to like him for what is going on. And then I think the third one is going to have a direct effect on Nathan, that he's going to have Elizabeth's help with.
I'll mention, exact quotes.
So my thoughts is the one that we've heard of but never seen is going to be Jeanette, because he says that person's going to have a direct effect on the investigation regarding who shot Lucas. So my guess would be Jeanette. Because we've heard a lot about Jeanette ever since Lucas came into town. Like literally his first episode, we've heard of Jeanette. Like his first season on the show, first couple episodes of being introduced to him, we got the information on Jeanette. But we've never seen Jeanette. We've never seen her character. And also I think Nicole even brought up the episode around whenever we start kind of the synopsis kind of mentioned something that could possibly be Jeanette. We don't have the cast list.
Episode 4, they still have not
4.
released anything.
No cast list, so that's a little suspicious.
Or photos,
exactly. So, and my option is someone from Elizabeth's past that Nathan needs to like, that Nathan needs that person to like him. I feel like it's Tom. Nicole, you mentioned that you think is her dad. The only reason why the reason why I think it's Tom is because if you think about it, I don't see Brooke Shields coming back to reprise.
She was filming something.
Yeah, she's been filming something around the time that When Calls to Heart season 11 has been filmed. It doesn't mean that she can't pop in at season 12 or whatever, but with season 11 being in mind, him mentioning that, I feel like it's going to be Tom. Because the reason why I think that is because, like, if you think about it, that's really the only living member of Jack's family that Elizabeth knows besides his mom. And it would make sense that Nathan would want Tom to like him, is because like he probably still has a little bit of guilt for Jack's death. And like obviously having Jack's brother in town, he would want to make sure that, he likes him, especially depending on the progression of that relationship between Nathan and Elizabeth. And then of course the person that comes in into town that greatly affects Nathan and causes him to need Elizabeth's help would definitely be Allie's dad. Because
I'll share my thoughts.
We've already been teased. Yeah, we've already had the synopsis about how Allie wants to reach out to her dad and how that greatly affects Nathan, because obviously Nathan has great reserve against Allie's dad for obvious reasons. If you remember that episode where we finally get to meet Allie's dad, it didn't exactly go well. So I'm really, really interested in seeing how that's going to go, because we know just like how, and it reminded me, and I even mentioned this before we started the podcast, I feel like a lot of what's going to happen between Nathan, Allie, and Allie's dad is going to go very similar to how everything happened when Nathan's dad came into town and Allie wanted to get to know him, and Nathan had his obvious reserve against his own dad and not wanting Allie to be greatly influenced by his dad. That was the major takeaway that I got. And plus, like, we got a lot of teasing from him that we're going to get some Mountie stuff. It is going to be towards the end of the season, like not in the first beginnings of the season, but more towards the end. We're going to get some Mountie stuff. So I'm excited to see that, because I feel like we don't get enough of Nathan being a Mountie. Like, we see a lot of him in the Surge, but we don't get to see like the action parts that we got to see with Jack.
So a couple notes I have from a couple questions from his interview. The first one I wrote down was when the question comes on that says, Elizabeth's worried about Nathan's feelings for her. Elizabeth's worried that Nathan's feelings for her have changed, but how does he feel about her? And then Kevin says, there's a very soft spot in Nathan's heart for Elizabeth. He's trying to see where he stands after opening himself up to her in season 8 and getting rejected for reasons that we'll find out as we move along. We already kind of talked about this earlier on in the episode. I don't think we really need to go on because we've already kind of shared our thoughts about it. But he also says he's got this great friend now and doesn't want to mess anything up. He's in an awkward situation, but he's open for more if she's open for more, which of course we know that she is. He just doesn't want to ruin anything by saying the wrong thing. And then a resounding yes, pretty much, basically, when the question comes on, is Nathan ready to be with Elizabeth? And then what's coming up for Nathan and Elizabeth? It's evident that Elizabeth means a great deal to Nathan. They're just finding their footing in this new world that is Hope Valley. What are you enjoying most about Lucas and Nathan's dynamic this season? I don't think Nathan has as much to worry about as he thinks. I don't think Nathan has as much to worry about as he thinks he does as we move forward with this. He really doesn't know. He let that go and he tried to move on unsuccessfully with other people. And now he finds himself kind of back in the ring with the person that he has confessed his love to, and her ex-fiance is still in town. And also, Nathan and Lucas were getting as close as they've ever been. On top of that, Lucas is his boss. I know where his heart is. And then, he goes on to say, he's not going to spoil anything. And he says he's got a sense of duty for sure and a professionalism. So things might get a bit messy. In season 11, there's a lot of people from the past that show up in Hope Valley, people that we've heard about, people that maybe we've already seen, people that we've never seen before. And then, my thoughts on the three particular characters. He says, well, I'll share my thoughts in a second, but he says each one tests Nathan in a different way. There's one that comes back, and then he stops himself and he says, that comes to light, that kind of moves the investigation with Lucas forward. Probably Jeanette. I also thought potentially maybe Hardgraves, which would bring the Fort Clay story back up. So that's a possibility.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I like that idea.
Because of Hardgraves shooting Nathan's request down. And then the second person, let's see. There's one person, this is the second one. There's one person that comes into Nathan's life that he's never met before, but Elizabeth has a past with, and it draws them closer together. It could be Tom, or or I also feel like it might be Elizabeth's father, maybe, potentially. I don't know. It's probably most likely Tom. And then the third one, there's another one that comes in. I think it's a big one for Nathan to meet. There's a connection with Elizabeth and Nathan together, and it's important that Nathan is liked by this person. Now, this is what I actually thought was, or could be, Elizabeth's dad, because that would be, especially, we know that they're going to be a couple. We know that they're in game. This would be very important to get William's approval.
Or Elizabeth's mom.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, she had the most reserves against Jack than even Elizabeth's dad did.
Mm-hmm.
She really did not want Elizabeth back she really did not want Elizabeth with him.
I don't
that's a good point.
It's interesting. I didn't think about this until today, but the part when he says there's a connection with Elizabeth and Nathan together with this third person, I'm just going to go out on a limb. What if there's a dream sequence with Jack? Because that kind of is important. I'm not going to lie. And the fact that Dan is like kind of back at Hallmark and he just filmed the movie with Aaron.
Wait, didn't they start
having a seance? What's going on here?
Wait. I'm trying to remember when they actually started filming the movie. Was that after or before season 11 that Aaron and Dan filmed their movie? Because it's already
after. It was after.
It was after? Oh, okay. That kind of makes me wonder.
It was still interesting. It's still possible.
Yeah.
That kind of would be an important person for Nathan to be liked by.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What if we get that, not necessarily ask for the blessing scene, but what if we do actually get another scene at Jack's grave?
But what if what if it's actually not any of those? What if it's actually What if it's Lucas? What if it's Lucas? Because if you think about it, that is a connection between Nathan and Elizabeth and to their relationship.
That's very possible too. Yeah.
And if you think about it, I feel like Nathan would want Lucas to be accepting of their relationship.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So, I mean, and I think they even teased that. I think Lucas even teased in one of, not Lucas, but Chris McNally even teased in one of his interviews that they do have a conversation.
E.T., he did say that.
Yeah, he did say
Yeah.
that Nathan and Lucas do have a conversation.
And I think Elizabeth too. I think
Yeah.
Well, and I want to take this back for just a second and say this. Nicole, you made the comment that we know they're in game. Just before anybody starts, well, this could happen or this could happen. This is not our opinion. It is our opinion, but that is not where we're getting our info from. Literally, with ET and Kevin both
and Aaron
confirmed. Yeah, Kevin and Aaron both have confirmed that Nathan and Elizabeth are in
even Chris said it.
Yeah, even
yeah,
Chris.
I haven't
Chris
seen Chris's interview, but yeah.
I'm just gonna say this, and I want this to be encouraging to Team Lucas, but if you guys go back to past interviews with Chris after it was announced that Lucas got after the finale of season 8, and we all learned that Lucas was the one that got picked initially. If you go back to those interviews and then you go back to these interviews, there's such a different glow behind Chris. It's like, and obviously Chris is like, he's not fresh into acting. He's been acting for a while, but this is like his first major role where he's getting interviews. He's getting seen by Entertainment Tonight. He's getting all of this attention.
Yeah.
It's the biggest role he's probably had in really, really like ever. A lot of his bigger roles he got after he's got On We Calls the Heart. So it's like, if you go back and look at these, it's like he has like, and I can understand nerves and like being nervous about being pretty much made into like this leading man and having this responsibility with this show that's already been established for several years. They learned very quickly how passionate us Hardys are. So it's like I can tell that I can understand him being nervous and everything. But like in his first interviews after season 8 finale, he didn't seem like he was happy with the fact that he was chosen as Lucas. And it could be just around the circumstances as to how he was chosen. We don't know for a fact or whether or not how it was chosen. We have our opinions on that. You guys can look at past past podcast episodes. We've made our opinion on that very much known.
Yeah.
With facts, not just our opinions. And then you look at the interviews that he's been doing recently. You know, he seems so excited for this new chapter in Lucas's life. He's so excited to really sink his teeth into being Lucas as a governor, having these huge responsibilities, being able to have scenes with other people besides just Nathan and Elizabeth. If you look at it, he's having so many scenes with Rosemary and Bill and Lee and Mike and just all of these different people that if you go back to past seasons, he didn't have much scenes with.
No, it was like all Elizabeth.
Yeah, it was mainly all Elizabeth and little Jack, and every once in a while he would have some things with Bill. Every once in a while would have some things with Henry. Like I think the only other person that he had major scenes with besides Elizabeth and little Jack was Henry.
Probably.
And Allie.
And Allie. Yeah, he even had more scenes with Allie than he had with Lee and Rosemary and Bill.
Yeah, I feel for Team Lucas. I do. Absolutely. And I know y'all feel the same way. But it is over. There's no going back.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a lot of us Team Nathan people were like after the initial season 8 finale, we were all like, okay, moving on. Like, stop teasing us, stop trying to make us feel like it's gonna go back or whatever. Like, let's just no contact with Elizabeth. We want a fresh and new storyline for Nathan. We want to get his love story started. We were over it. We were like, none of us were wanting anything to happen after season 8 finale. We were accepting of it. Yeah, a lot of us did get a little on Twitter and Instagram and everything. But, you know, for the most part, a lot of the majority of us that we are connected to on this podcast with our podcast friends and everything, a lot of us were like, okay, fine. We're heartbroken. It's sad, but let's move on. I'm ready to see what is in store for Nathan.
Yeah.
And we didn't want another chance of them getting back together. We were fine. We were like, okay, bye, Elizabeth.
I never in a million years would have thought they would have flipped this.
Bye, Felicia, Elizabeth.
I never in a million. Never in a million.
But that's what I'm
Never.
saying. It's like I see
Yeah.
some of these
Yeah.
people on Team Lucas, and I understand. Like you're still wanting to, you still have hope that the couple that you wanted to have happen still happen. But it's like
But
at the same
it's-
time, my mind's just like, how do you want to have like? And a lot of them don't. A lot of them are like very sick of Elizabeth. They hate Elizabeth now. But I'm still seeing a lot of Team Lucas people being like, oh, like what if this is just a big old red herring and she ends
No.
up being back with Lucas at the end? Like they can still, we
Mm.
still have time. Like they still have a chance of putting
No,
Lucas and
they
Elizabeth.
don't.
Why would you want her back with him after she broke up with him 3 weeks before they were going to get married?
It is not happening.
It's
If-
not happening.
It's not happening. If Nathan and
No.
Elizabeth were, it,
I mean, even
Nathan-
during season 9, they were still having scenes of Nathan and Elizabeth that were all
Yeah.
making us like, why are y'all putting them together like this?
Nathan
Like, why
and
are you
Elizabeth.
guys having these conversations? Why are you guys like they're even talking about how Elizabeth emotionally cheated on Lucas with Nathan?
No.
First of all, they've been having these type of intimate conversations since day one. Literally, the first scene that they
Yeah.
ever had together was by themselves in the mountain station
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
having an intimate conversation.
Yeah.
Been like that since day
Yeah.
one. First of all,
Nathan
um,
and Elizabeth would not be on the poster this season if they were not in game.
no. Which
Yeah,
I
no.
mean, I know a lot of people would be bringing up the fact that Lucas and Elizabeth were the main ones on the poster and all this kind of stuff like that. And, like,
This
they
is the
always put
first season that has ever been just
2 people. Yeah, because
Mhm.
even season 9, you saw Nathan and May in the background.
and
Was
Lee
it
and
last
Rosa.
year? Wasn't last year just Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, yes.
Yeah, it's just Elizabeth.
And then this
That
year,
should have
yeah.
been a dead ringer. That should have been a dead ringer because it was
Yeah.
all her.
I didn't know what, but when that poster came out for season 10, I knew the second I saw it, something was going to happen.
Oh yeah, especially with the fact that it was like with Hope Valley, like the landscape of Hope Valley within her silhouette and
Yeah.
everything. I was
Mm.
like I
Yeah.
kept kind of trying to excuse it away because I was like, I know my brain's gonna go crazy right now with all these theories about how it's gonna turn and
Yeah.
everything like that. But then I kept telling myself like to calm myself down and keep myself
Yeah.
from getting hopes up. I just kept saying like, no, it's just because
Yeah.
it's been 10 seasons. That's a major milestone. It's just another poster just to commemorate the pure like foundation of the
Bef-
show, which is about this teacher and this small coal mining town. Like that's all it
Yeah.
is. That's what I kept excusing away. But yeah, I mean the posters say a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
just look at how they're looking at each other.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And before we wrap up, I just just briefly, I thought we should talk about episode 3. Maybe like what do y'all think is gonna happen with some of the things in episode 3? Like
I think they're blowing a lot of what's going to happen between Lucas and Elizabeth out of proportion.
yeah, I mean I think
Yeah,
there will be
that's
some
what they do in the
misunderstandings.
preview.
Yeah, I mean, what they're showing in the preview, I think they're hyping it up more than what it's actually going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
keep in mind, this is the 3rd episode. We're not going to get anything huge, major up until
episode
probably
5.
Yeah, until episode 5. That's when things
Um,
start getting heated up because you're in the middle of the season. You got at least like what I think they're doing 12 episodes this season.
Yeah, 12.
So they've
Yeah.
got like several so they're gonna really ramp it up and like start it kind of like as
And-
a slow.
And I'm sorry, but like to anybody, okay, there's a clip where Lucas shows up in the middle of a school day wanting
It's
to talk
in this
to
promo.
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he's showing up in the middle of a school day wanting to talk to her and ask her something. To anybody who thinks that he's wanting to ask her like if there's any chance they could get back together. Okay, we
No.
know Lucas Bouchard. He would never show up in the middle of her workday to go, hey, is there any chance we can get back together?
No, and
Lucas would send her an engraved invitation to some kind of dinner with all kinds of freaking candles or something.
Chris even said in his interview he is not going to ask for Elizabeth back.
Yeah. So I mean, but my point is, like, to anybody who
The
thinks
point is,
that,
he's not
it doesn't
gonna
even
do
make
that in
sense.
front of all of those children on a school day while she's working.
I
He-
have a question. What do y'all think his question is? Like I
I
saw
feel like it's got something. I feel like it's got something to do with him being governor. Maybe
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
got some kind of plan. Maybe he's got some kind of like thought as to what he can do, like another project as governor. Maybe her
Yeah.
opinion on, because I feel like he also holds Elizabeth in high regard for her knowledge and her
Yeah.
wisdom. So I feel like he probably is asking her advice on the whole, like whatever
Yeah.
is going on,
I-
whatever decision or plan, or who know. Like I mean, I don't know. But honestly, what even could be also a good idea is maybe he's starting to get pieces of his memory back, and he's trying to get someone to help him with that. And like the only person he feels like he can really trust with this is probably her.
Maybe, yeah.
That could be also a good point. Like, I mean, I
It
don't
was
think it had anything to do with their relationship at all.
no.
No.
It was
Now Nathan is going to think that it is, because that's exactly what the angle they're going to go with this episode. They're going to have Nathan being all misunderstood
because
about what's going on between the two of them.
Elizabeth says, "I'm just worried about him now," and then his facial expression. But anyway, going back to Lucas's question on Sarah and Julie's live last night after the episode, I saw a couple comments, or maybe it was just one, saying, what if it's, now this might be a stretch, but what if it's something about opening a new school, like opening a second school is what I was trying to say, because with the building of a resort, that could bring in more people, more families,
maybe to get her out of the church and into an actual school building. Maybe
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
And that could be, I mean,
that
but
would be
I
very
feel like,
sad though. I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
I couldn't imagine her not having school in the church.
I don't think they would do that. It might be a stretch, because that would just take away the part of the legacy of Jack, because the school is the Jack Thornton school. So,
but at the same time, it would be a whole new chapter for Elizabeth and
that's
completely
true.
moving.
Yeah,
Jack.
That's very true. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
I don't know.
it would be Jack Thornton School. It would just be a new building.
Yeah, that's true. And I also wonder, are we gonna get the shirtless scene this week? I saw some theories. I saw some theories on the live last night.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the last time we saw him wood chopping, he was frustrated because of what was going on between Lucas and Elizabeth going out of town.
And I think it was on the live last night, but in one of the promos, I think it's one of the more recent ones. Do y'all remember the clip when we see Elizabeth with the basket in her hand and she's walking to the Mountie office in the same shirt from the scene where she's talking to Lucas in the street, the pink one?
I think so.
What if, okay, so from the preview for episode 3, what if like just these 3 scenes, the one when she's talking to Nathan, when she says she's worried about Lucas, what if that one is first? And then it's the one when she sees and talks to Lucas in the street. And then it's the one when she goes to the Mountie office. What if when she's walking to the Mountie office, what if she like sees him changing or something? Or like,
I thought maybe
like, but I don't know.
Or wood chopping or something.
Isn't she walking down like the boardwalk and going across the porch? What if she goes to knock and then she hears the wood chopping wood, so she goes further down and sees it? Like, I feel like it might be that.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I was
chopping wood.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. Yeah.
At the same time, I can't imagine them making Nathan shirtless in this. Like, I don't think it's gonna be shirtless. I don't think he's gonna be shirtless.
I mean,
because when you think about it, he wouldn't be outside where everyone that's walking down the street is gonna be able to see him chopping.
That's true. Yeah.
A shirtless scene that could be a possibility is like out behind his row house or something. If like she goes over there for some walking by or something, and like he's outside washing up or something after a day's work or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know.
It'll be interesting.
We will see. We will see. But yeah, lots more to unpack.
Yeah, the sneak peek with Nathan in the stable with Bill.
What? I don't want to hear anything out of you either.
And brushing Sergeant. Also, can we talk about how Nathan is brushing Elizabeth's horse? Like, how does that come about? I'm so
Okay, but
intrigued.
can we talk about the fact that you could see like an actual facial expression on Newton?
I know, right? It's hilarious.
Like that
Newton
horse
throwing
is staring him
shade.
down like, excuse me, what are you doing, brushing another horse?
Newton throwing
You
shade.
see?
Yeah, dude, throwing shade. Yeah, absolutely. Oh
And
my
then
word.
Bill in Capital City with the
Yeah. Stopwatch.
I,
Yeah.
investigation.
I think
Yeah.
some more information is going to come out, and Bill is going to get a hold of that information, and he's going to start with it. He's going to, do what an investigator does,
Yeah.
and he's going to get his proof, and he's going to examine it to the core. And that's exactly what he's doing in that one, like him with the stopwatch, and like I feel like he's gonna find out where they found the gun, and that's what the whole thing of him going back and forth to that gutter and opening the lid and everything.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I feel like it's gonna be about the gun, and he's gonna prove that someone is lying about where the gun was and who had possession of the gun.
Yeah. I can't wait for this though, y'all. This season is shaping up to be so good. I'm so grateful for the job that Lindsay is doing with it. She is redeeming.
Incredible.
She is riding this ship.
Yes, she is.
And I love that she's not doing it just for Nathan and Elizabeth. Like she's doing so good for Lucas's story, for Henry, for Bill, even like even though we don't have him with Madeline so far, which isn't completely ruled out. We could still have Madeline and Bill. But he's like him getting deep into this. Like and I said this last episode, I'm so glad that they didn't make it out to be Nathan not being like bad at his job as an investigator, because that's what I was really worried about whenever they put that first synopsis out. That's why I'm even telling people take the synopsis with even a grain of salt, because if you look back at the first episode synopsis, it really made it seem like Rosemary and Bill were going to be questioning Nathan's ability of being an investigator. So take with the wording of the synopsis with a grain of salt. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But I love that she's just shaping, like I love that we're even getting a new side of Minnie, because like even she's like in this particular episode, she gave Rosemary some advice, and she went to Joseph, and she was pretty much like, it's like everybody wants me to be like a like it's to me, I feel like she was thinking everyone just wants her to be like this walking fortune cookie.
Yeah.
And always have like this infinite wisdom and infinite amount of encouragement to them. And it's like, and that is initially how people see pastors' wives. They want the same wisdom that the pastor has to be in the pastor's wife and have all of this wise wisdom.
Yeah, I love the scene.
I just,
Minnie.
Yeah, I love all of these different storylines outside of Nathan and Elizabeth. It really does feel like the old home, like old When Calls the Heart, where everyone's storylines are intricately woven. They're not choppy. They flow so well together. It makes sense when they're all together, and whenever their storylines cross, like it's so great.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the rest of the season. The Easter episode is next week. Like what?
I'm so looking forward to this episode, y'all. I'm so looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Next week,
Can't wait. Thank you guys so much for being with us and joining us. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Remember, we've told y'all many times, just keep it respectful. It's okay if you disagree. Just keep it respectful, or comments will end up getting deleted. We won't delete you just for disagreeing with us, but just keep it respectful. But we would love to hear from y'all and hear your thoughts and your comments and your predictions and whatever. And we'll see y'all again next week. Bye guys.
Love you.